Hello everybody, how you doing? This is Cicone Prince, and I am so excited to be able to share with you at the Iconic Conference. And what I want to talk to you about today is seeing in the dark. That's right. I want to talk to you about seeing in the dark. I'm an avid movie watcher. And one of my favorite movies, it really started off a trilogy. It was called Pitch Black. Now, some of you may not remember that, but it starred Vin Diesel, and this before he really blew up and really got famous. And he played a mercenary. He played more or less of a criminal that was being transported. And because of his dealings with the criminal underground, he actually paid money to get these special type of eyes installed. Eyes that allowed him to see in the dark. Now, those came in real handy because the ship that was transporting him got stuck on a planet that experienced about 6 months of darkness. And when they landed there, it wasn't dark yet, but it was getting close to that time to where they were going to go into that long period of darkness. They also had these nocturnal animals that only came out at night. And they were carnivorous. They were bloodthirsty. They were just the scourge of that planet. And when they came out, they took everything they could. They ate everything they could because they only had a limited amount of time to do that. Well, the reason I talk about that movie is because with him having those eyes, he was able to see in the dark. And the movie was called, as I said, Pitch Black. Now, when I talk about us seeing in the dark, I mean, I'm looking at the situation that we're currently in. This global pandemic, the economic outfall of it, and how that is affecting how we're able to see, how we're able to move forward, how we're able to plan. And I mean, it's almost like being in the dark. We don't know when things are going to open up and when things are going to get back to normal. So if we're in a dark situation right now, one of the things that we can do is we can learn how to see in the dark. We can learn how to see in the dark. If you have a fairly recent alarm system with an outdoor camera, if you go look at it, you'll notice that there are these little LEDs around the camera. And those LEDs, they emit a certain amount of light, even when it's completely dark outside. And if you notice, if you watch the camera, even when there's no lights around, you'll still be able to see just like it was daylight. Because those little LEDs, they send out enough light for the camera to pick up so that they can see. Similar to the night vision goggles that a lot of special forces have, that allow them to see in pitch black conditions. So when it comes to us being able to see in the dark, what is it that we have that sends out a little light that allows us to see what the future is going to look like? It should be our hope. It should be our faith. It should be our imagination. And I remember what Albert Einstein said. He said, imagination is everything. It's the preview of things to come. So while we're in this dark situation, while we find ourselves having a hard time seeing, we need to be able to look beyond where we are right now and see the future that we want to have. And then once we see it, we need to start moving towards it. One thing about being in a dark room is you're really cautious about moving around, especially if there are objects in the room, because you can quickly and easily stump your toe. You can bump into something. You can hit your head on something. Why? Because you can't see. And so being in those situations, you find yourself just kind of being paralyzed and being stuck. But I tell you one thing, when it comes to you actually presenting and being able to move forward, you have to be able to see. So where you are right now in your life and in your business, with your relationships and in the situation that you're facing, can you really see beyond your current situation? Can you look to the future with hope and anticipation? Can you find yourself in a position to where you are able to move forward? And I know the way we used to move, the things we used to do before the pandemic, we're now having to reinvent ourselves. We're having to figure out how to do it differently. And I've heard so many people use the word pivot, but you have to make adjustments in order to be able to continue to move forward in your business, in your life, and in your career. Even with your relationships, there are things that you have to do to make it work, to make it better. Because without those things, you'll find yourself being stuck and stagnant and being, quite frankly, in the dark. So when it comes to actually being able to see in the dark, one of the first things you need to do is accept where you are and embrace the uncertainty. I'm going to say that again for those that are taking notes. Accept where you are and embrace the uncertainty. And I know for us as humans, one of the things that we resist most of the time is change. But to be honest, the only thing that's constant is change. Things are always moving and always evolving. We're always changing and growing. And somebody once said that every 21 days, your cells get renewed. So you literally become a new person in that time. So we're always changing. But in order for us to be able to see in the dark, we have to accept and embrace change. We have to embrace the uncertainty. I know for myself, it's been real challenging because I hate last minute stuff. I hate kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I like to plan stuff out. I'm more of a routine type person. But even with that being said, I find myself having to adjust, having to be more fluid, to be less rigid in my approach to doing stuff. I have to be more forgiving. I have to be more accepting. I have to be willing to make adjustments and do things that normally under normal circumstances, I'll be like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do a virtual thing. I'm not going to do an online event. Well, guess what? I'm doing one now. But even in this process, I've learned some new things about myself. I've learned the benefits of being able to actually talk on camera and really communicate even when there's nobody in the room. And so I've learned to develop my skills in that area. My question to you is, what have you learned? What things have you done, even during this time, that you said that you never would do? Things that you told yourself that I'll never be a part of that. Oh, that's too much for me. I'm not going to try to figure that out. Well, now guess what? You have to figure it out, or you have to pay somebody to figure it out. I don't want to be online. It's too techy. I don't have all the gadgets and everything I need. You can find yourself using your cell phone in your car to actually do what it is you need to get done. People who say they'll never go live are going live. People who say, I don't want to see myself on camera. They're seeing themselves on camera. If you want your business to survive, if you want to be able to make a difference in the world in which you live, you're going to have to make adjustments. And you're going to have to do it on the fly. You cannot wait until everything is perfect. I was telling the guy just the other night, I said, listen, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Again, for those that are taking notes, write that down. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. When I first started doing my videos, I was horrible. I even went back and I deleted a couple of the first ones. I really hate that I did that now because I really wanted to show my own growth. I wanted to see where I came from. I had good content, but my delivery was messed up. My presentation was off. But I kept at it. I kept going. I kept doing it. And lo and behold, I got more comfortable. Not only did I get comfortable, I got confident. And now I'm able to deliver with the best of them. Why? Because I kept going. I saw beyond where I was. Although I was in the dark then about my abilities, about my ability to speak and to deliver, I was groping my way, but I saw where I could be. And what you see right now is the manifestation of all of those years of me putting in the work. I'm trying to get you to understand that you too can see in the dark. You can see beyond your current circumstances and your current situation. But in order for you to do that, you have to be willing to embrace uncertainty and accept where you are. That's going to make all the difference in the world. You also have to learn how to use your senses. That's right, use your senses. I started off by saying that I'm a movie buff. And I love watching movies because I love seeing the stories and seeing the growth and the complexity of them and seeing how people overcome challenges in order to be able to achieve a goal. And one of those movies that I truly love is Ray Charles, the recent one with Jamie Foxx, where he played the legendary and iconic musician. Well, in the movie, one of the scenes where this guy asks Ray, how is it that you're able to navigate and move around? And Ray said, I use my senses. I wear hard bottom shoes. So every time I step, there's an echo. And once I get to a door that's open, the sound changes. So what Ray did was he used his senses in order to compensate for him not being able to see. And as a believer, as a business owner, as a person that believes in themselves and that wants to be better than they are right now, you have to be able to use your senses. Even when you can't see where it is you're planning on going, you have to be able to connect with individuals that will help you in those areas that you can't see. And when I say use your senses, I mean evaluate people for where they are and for who they are. Look at their track record and their history. You want to build synergy and you want to build collaborations with people who have been steadfast even during this time. Just because the world pushed pause on life, there are several people that kept going. They made adjustments and they kept moving forward. And so you have to identify and see those people and see how it is that you can help each other. How you can work with them and actually be the person that connects with them so that you both can benefit. Using your senses is not just your physical senses, but the people that you're around, the people that you're connected with, using them to see, okay, what is it that you're doing now? And I mean, if they truly mean you any good, they're not going to hesitate with sharing information with you. I have learned so much being stuck in the house that I've actually developed several skills that I didn't even know I had. I poked around with certain things and found out stuff that has really just made a difference in stuff that I'm doing moving forward. So I use what I have to get what I want. And I'm doing all of this even while I'm in a dark place. Because I tell you what, once things do open up, I'm going to hit the ground, not running, but flying. I may not even hit the ground. I may just take off. Because I've learned so much even during this time. And so while you're in a dark situation, while you don't know how you're going to move forward, while you don't see it, you should be able to see it. Delatore McNeil said you have to see it before you see it or you'll never see it. So I want to encourage you to be able to look beyond your current circumstances and actually move forward, even though you can't see it with your physical eyes or even with your mental understanding, but you have to be able to look beyond just what you see. And that brings me to another point that I really want to make, that you can start moving forward. You can start moving if you see it in your imagination. If you see it in your imagination. If you see it in your imagination. You have to be able to see beyond your current circumstances. Again, I know it's dark. I know it's uncertain. But if you ever got to the point to where you acknowledge where you are, accept it where you are, and then you embrace the uncertainty, you'll find out that there's another person. There's another person in you. There's a person who thinks on their feet. There's a person who is motivated to go further. There's a person who doesn't want to give up. There's a person who doesn't want to quit. If you just look with your imagination, you can shape your own future. I remember one time I did a TED talk, and it wasn't actually on a TED stage, but it was a TED type of talk where I talked about don't go with the flow, direct it. And I talked about the difference between a leaf and a rock. If you drop a leaf in the river, the water's going to take it anywhere it wants to go. But you drop a rock in the river, it may sink to the bottom. But one thing I guarantee you is that when the water gets to the rock, guess what? It's going to go around the rock. So are you a leaf or are you a rock? Are you going with the flow or are you directing it? Even in that same video, I talked about how if you dump a truckload of leaves in the river, it's going to take them down the river. I mean, one or two may get stuck somewhere, but for the most part, they're going to go down the river. But if you dump a truckload full of rocks in a river, it's going to redirect where the river flows. And if you dump enough of them, it will dam the river up. So my point is this, that you have a choice, whether you're going to just go with the flow or direct it. When it comes to you seeing in the dark, you have to be able to see beyond your current circumstances to the point to where you're ready and you're willing to move forward, even though you can't understand how you're going to make it. But you have faith. You believe that you can do better, that you can be better, that you can achieve more. And not just by yourself, but you see other people that are moving forward. You connect yourself with them and you move with them. I love what Trevor I said. He said, we'll run with 100, but we won't drag one. That means that when you find people that are going somewhere, get with the crowd, go with them and do your part to help them get to where they need to be. But don't drag anybody because that's just weighing you down. You have to make sure that you put in your work. You know, talking about seeing in the dark, I remember when I was a child, I had this glow in the dark baseball. And I would take the ball in my room. And when I, especially in fact, after it had nightfall had happened, and I had to come in the house because you know you had to be in the house by the time the street lights came on. I took this ball in my room and I would turn my light on. I would stand in my bed and I would hold the ball up to the light for as long as my little arm could hold it up there. Then I would jump off the bed, I would run over to the light switch and I would turn off the light and I would take the ball and sit it on my desk and I would watch the ball. I would watch it until it slowly faded. I mean, sometimes it may take 10, 15 minutes, but I looked at it until I couldn't see it anymore. Then I hopped up, turned the light on, got the ball, stood back on the bed and I did it again. The reason I'm telling you this story is that we have to put ourselves in a position that we have soaked up so much inspiration, so much motivation that even when it's dark, we can still see. We can see where it is we want to go and we can move in that direction. And if you ever find yourself like that ball fading and you find yourself getting darker and darker and your hopes for tomorrow are dimming slower and lower and lower, all you have to do is come around people like this, come around people that are inspired, come to events like this, even online. Take your ball and hold it up to the light and soak up all the inspiration, soak up all the motivation, soak up all of the knowledge. So that when the summit is over, when the conference is done, when you've turned off your computer, you have enough light in you to make another step, to move forward, going after your goals and your dreams. And you'll do it without hesitation because you've actually spent time in the presence of people who are doing the same thing. I think about a coal, a lump of coal, and then those that barbecue know that you generally want to pile all the coals up You put your lighter fluid on and you light it, and you let all of the coals heat up together. Then once they're heated, you spread them out, and then you can cook. Well, if you have one of the coals that rolls off by itself, you'll watch it and it'll become cooler. But if you take it and rake it back over to the other coals, because of the collective heat, you'll be able to evenly cook your food once you spread everything out. But you have to be a part of that, a part of that mound of coals that is on fire. And being at events like this is what allow you to do just that. So I want you to know that you can see in the dark if you surround yourself with people that are doing the same thing. If you accept where you are, embrace the uncertainty, and if you use your senses, but then if you also just put in the work, don't let your current circumstances keep you from moving forward, because that's what's going to keep you stuck in the dark. Hey, look, this is Cicone Prince, and I want to thank you for tuning in to this presentation at Iconic. And I want you to know that you too can be iconic and you can see in the dark. I'll talk to you later. Bye.